Joining me now is Ross Dannar, who picked up a round 3 TKO victory over Mohammad Al Kinani this past Saturday at NEF 47. Ross, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Absolutely great. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Still
gotta
riding off that high.
yeah, you gotta be like riding on a high right now because talk about a signature win. Mohammad Al Kinani, saying this objectively speaking, anyone can look
Mm.
around it and see his track record. He's one of the better fighters in New England, and you went in and you got a massive victory over him. I don't think a lot of people actually maybe saw that coming, except for you, your teammates, your coaches, the people that know you as a fighter. So just run me through like what this last few days have been like for you with this big upset here at NEF 47.
Huge relief. that fight camp was something else. I told one of Mo's coaches that I used to train with, Keegan. I told him I had to be nothing other than perfect to beat Mo. So that's what I strived for. I had 7 weeks to do it, and I delivered. So yeah, I had very high expectations for Mo and very high expectations for myself. And look at the fight we created. That was exciting. I knew either way it was going to be a great fight. So yeah, I just looked forward to it.
We'll get into the fight here in a second, but first I just want to know a little bit more about your mental going into this one, because as I
Mental.
said, yeah, this guy, has had a lot of hype behind him, and rightfully so. So like, what was it like for you to know that, okay, I can go in here, people might assume that he's just going to do what he's been doing to other people, run right through me. How did you stay positive and execute the way that you did come fight night?
Well, Ryan, ignorance is bliss, and I tend to not watch film or stuff on my opponent. I try really, really hard, and I've done this since like competition in high school, like wrestling stuff. It just kind of works me up and makes me think about the wrong things. So I actually didn't watch any film on Mo, and I did that because I didn't want to be thinking about what he'd be doing, and I wanted to focus on myself. And but luckily I had people in my corner that did watch film and told me what I needed to be careful of. So I knew about my opponent, but I didn't focus on like, he has an aura around him about the fear factor, and that's a lot of power in that. So ignorance is bliss, and I was ignorantly just focusing on myself, and it paid off. I got pretty nervous in the back when it was time to actually fight, but something about that cage, man, when you step in there, fear's not a factor anymore. It's all fight. There's nothing else to do but fight. So that's a really empowering thing, just getting in there and getting it done. Yeah.
Your head coach Devin Powell, he definitely believed in you. I think if I'm not mistaken, because the whole night it went by so fast, it was such a great night. Pete Zimbor, the official announcement afterwards, I think it was him that mentioned an upset here in the cage, but Devin was like, no upset. Like he expected you to win, right? So like, what was the game plan going in against Mo? Were you just trying to get in there to get him to tire himself out early on, to drag him into deep waters and ultimately finish him?
Yes. So technique aside and moves aside, my goal is always to try and have the cardio advantage for sure. That's something that I'm really good at, and everybody I train with, I just try to tire them out, and it's really useful because I'm not the best at everything. So to be able to tire somebody out is really, really valuable. It means I can beat people that are better than me. And so that was definitely part of the game plan. But as for the rest of it, we didn't really have a structured game plan. I don't know how other people do it, if they have like very specific things that they want for like the first round, second round, third round. I think a lot of my camp and my team would have expected the takedown earlier, me being a good wrestler. But for me, I really wanted to try and gain some respect on the feet to be able to set up that takedown. As part of my wrestling background, there always needs to be a setup for my takedown. My coach, who was there, shout out to Greg Dussault, he told me, you got to set up your takedown. So that was echoing in my head during this camp. And if I didn't have any striking, and if Mo just didn't respect my striking, then I'd have no setup. He'd see my takedown coming from a mile away. So in my head, personally, I thought that I needed to strike with him, whether I liked it or not. I needed to strike with him before I started wrestling. So I'd say it worked out kind of that way, um, for like a loose game plan. Yeah, that's about as much as I thought into it.
Did he ever have you like really hurt at any point in the fight?
Surprisingly, no. And nothing against him. Those shots were really, really hard. But I kept my chin buried the entire time. And I've been rocked before, and it's usually off of when somebody gets me to lift up my chin off like an uppercut or something. And then when my chin's up, hit me with a hook or something. So a good old 6-3-2, and that happened in my last fight. For this fight, I was able to keep my chin buried, and I think that helped a lot because those shots were very, very hard punches. So I surprisingly I didn't get rocked. I was clear the entire time. I was feeling the pressure, but I was also moving the entire time. The footwork probably helped more than me keeping my chin down, to be honest. So no, I was clear-minded the entire fight. Yeah.
I'd like to get your take on, I guess, Mo's frustration level, because in watching like a lot of his previous fights, his shots are right down the pipe, very technical. And it seemed like he was getting frustrated a little bit where a lot of his shots, he wanted to put you out so bad where they were like looping shots. Did you notice
Mm.
that? And did that make it easier for you to kind of see them coming and adjust?
So it's hard for me to compare because I haven't watched. I now that the fight's over, I really want to go back and watch like some of Mo's fights now that it's not gonna like make me freak out or anything. But so it's hard for me to compare. From what I could tell, he was extremely accurate with his striking. Um, and he was missing a lot because of how close my face was to his chest. Nobody really practices that way, you know. I was intentionally like getting close to him where he would almost have to be in the pocket with me. And he's a tall, lanky guy, and he knows how to put power at the end of his shots. So I tried to take that away from him as part of the kind of being able to survive Mo's striking. You know, if I stood out at his range, then those shots probably would have been harder, and he probably would have been more accurate. But I was a hard target to hit, and I was too close for him to really probably feel comfortable. He probably doesn't hit pads like that. I don't know if anybody does, you know, right in front of your chest. So that's my safe spot right there.
Okay. Yeah.
That's where I try to stay.
That makes
Yeah, but he was everything. His striking was everything that I expected and more. You know, he was an incredible fighter, man. Like that was an awesome fight. I got nothing against Mo. That was exciting. I told him after, man. He's like, "You're one of my favorite people." Because that was a freaking war. I came for something exciting like that, and Mo is the right person for that. He's definitely not just hype. That guy's a good fighter.
Oh, for sure. No doubt
Yeah.
about it. Like, do you ever
Yeah.
like, obviously when you're training with your training partners, right? Like they're friends of yours, right? But you're still going in
Yeah.
to get in work. So you're not really going for blood like you are in a
Right.
fight here. But like, do you ever get told just about how darn tough you are? Like you clearly are tough as nails, because Mo hit you with some big shots throughout that fight and you just weren't going anywhere.
Right. Well, you know, that's part of the game plan too. I learned at some point where if I stayed out of that range, I just end up taking harder shots, you know? Like so there's only what I'm usually the guy that has less length, and not only because my height, I don't think I'm like short or anything, but just my build and my wrestling background, I think shortens up a lot of my striking. I'm not comfortable striking at range. I'm not a super long fighter. My kicks were kind of long. Like, I mean, those are decent at range, but for the most part, I like really in the pocket boxing. So for me to back up on any of those shots would have been kind of counterintuitive because I was right where I wanted to be. So to be able to take those shots As for like the toughness, I kind of learned a little bit about myself that night with all those shots that I took. You know, we don't do that in the room. we don't hit each other that hard with what were they, 6 ounce gloves on. So that was you know, spur of the moment thing, figuring that out, you know. But that mental toughness I try to work constantly in the gym. It's important to me. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I can only imagine. Run me through the finish. Ultimately, you got the round 3 TKO win. Did you see him fading? Like, did you think that, okay, I might get him out of here now?
So in the second round, I had a hunch that I lost the first, but I didn't say anything on the stool because my coaches were feeding me information, telling me the adjustments they wanted me to make. And then in the second, I felt like I did pretty good, but I sat down on the stool, and one of my corners, if not more of them, I mean, they all could have been talking to me. I might have only heard one, but one of them told me like, "Hey Ross, we need that takedown. We need that takedown." And I was like, "Okay, all right, I can get it now." So I knew I'd been wearing him down, and I'd set it up enough with my striking where he wasn't gonna just think every movement's a takedown now. So that third round, I just went for the takedown, and I tired him out enough where I was able to just lift him off his feet. And then from there, I'm a very pressure heavy grappler. I'm not gonna transition a lot or try to go for submissions. I'm gonna try and stay heavy. And I had him up against the cage there, and usually when that happens in the gym, it's there's not much of a way out. The cage is working against him. I got wrist control eventually, full mount. So after that, I was honestly thinking like, man, I don't know what I was thinking in that moment. Kind of just go to sleep. So I was giving him the little rabbit punches, probably something like that. But yeah, I was bewildered after I won in that third round with that finish. That's the first time I finished somebody in MMA. They've all been decisions.
I definitely saw that on your Tapology record. Can you just
Yeah.
kind of give me an analogy of how good this felt? Like, is there something that you've experienced in your life that feels as good as this win, beating Mohammad Al Kinani?
No. So the a feeling that I've chased for a while is when I finally won my state championship for wrestling in high school. It was my senior year, last chance to get it, and I finally got it. And I reached some point of serenity of just being like, yes, I can do this. I can win. I can beat this guy. I deserve the gold medal. All this stuff, you have those voices in your head that are like, oh, what am I doing here? Like, do I really deserve this? Am I really good enough? And just kind of silencing all those voices and just being like, I'm here for a reason. And that, before this fight, that was my like best moment in the best I've felt ever. The best win I've had probably is getting that state championship. That was the culmination of years of hard work. And beating Mo felt like more than that. It felt like I went from being just like just a wrestler that kind of did MMA and stuff like that to actually being able to call myself like a true MMA fighter and a martial artist. So I'm really proud of that. And plus, as we all saw, that was an awesome fight. I'm proud to look back and say like, hey, I survived that, and I won it too. So yeah, that was a really good feeling. And the fact that there were just so many people there to support me, I was really glad to pull through for them, because they all had my back when I was a huge underdog. They believed in me. So it means a lot to be able to show up and perform like that. Yeah.
Well, you got a fan in me now, man. That was the first time that I've seen you fight live, and wow, man, I was blown away. Like I said to you before, for my money, it was my fight of the night. I got a medal I'm going to give you when I do see you next, so I'll make sure to put
Awesome.
it in my travel bag. As far as like your goals and aspirations for this sport, like, what are they? What does Devin, your coaches, tell you? Do they feel like you have the chops to make it to the UFC? If that's something that you're trying to do.
Yeah, I've had some drawbacks in the past with injuries and whatnot, and had to take it easy sometimes. So they know not to push me, I guess, in a good way. They're very supportive. But it was very sweet after that fight. Devin and Carolyn, my manager, sat me down. They just said, we'll take you as far as you want to go, Ross. And that's up to you. So for me, I love fighting. I love training, and I also love coaching. So what's next for me in the short term is just kind of focusing on our gym and taking care of everybody that's there. Because I feel like I owe a lot of my victory to some of the other fighters and even some of the newcomers that just bring in that good energy. I just love going to the gym. So trying to give back to our gym a little bit, focus on coaching, get myself healthy, and then we'll see what's next. I don't really have any plans. I'm not much of a planner, I guess. I'll take it as far as I can go.
Okay, well, things are looking pretty bright for you right now, my friend. And as far as Nostos goes, you guys had the 3-0 on the night at NEF 47. David Burke got the big TKO win over David McCarty, and then Nate Grimard with another wrestling clinic, a UD win over a tough opponent himself. How good can Nate Grimard be, and how much better is he getting, week in, week out, since we've seen him make the transition to the pro ranks?
Nate puts on, like you said, he puts on a wrestling clinic every time. I'm really excited for, him to open up with his striking and his jiu-jitsu. I mean, no pressure, Nate, but like kid's good all around. He just happens to use his wrestling because honestly, like, you can just take somebody down, take no damage, and win a fight. Like if you have the ability to do that, you could freaking do it. And he's a really good wrestler. But he's a really good martial artist too. So I believe he can take it as far as he wants to go. And I'm going to be with him every step of the way. Freaking, I love that kid. And he's a great person to have on your team, And David Burke, that was the energy. He was the starter, like for him to start off that way probably affected how I felt for my fight 3 hours later. That's how powerful that blast double was. That was so exciting. I love watching my teammates succeed. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
Very well said. Can we expect to see Nostos MMA represented with a handful of you fighters for NEF 48? That's going to be at the end of July. And do you plan on fighting again?
I plan on fighting again. We'll see how long it takes me to get back to regular training. Mo did some damage. So I'm trying to get healthy right now and take care of some stuff I may have neglected during the fight camp. And then we'll talk about fighting. As for the next NEF card, man, we got a full roster over at Nostos. I wouldn't be surprised to see our name on the card again. So I guess look out for Nostos.
Ross, again, congratulations on the win. Definitely a pleasure interviewing you for the first time. Before I
nice meeting you.
Yeah, definitely. Let me give you the floor before I do let you go. Tell people where they can follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, any sponsors to plug, the floor is yours.
Oh, yeah. Geez. Oh, I wish I wrote it down. I'm not so good at this. Let's see. My sponsors, Hall Bros Roofing, supported me the whole way. And the company and Bill Jones, freaking phenomenal fighter and great person to be around. Mike Hagen Motor Pools, thank you so much. And man, I wish I was more prepared. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I'm very, very grateful for the sponsorships and for everybody coming out, even just buying a shirt. Like I appreciate seeing you guys rep my name and everything like that. And for social media, I'm just Ross Dannar on Facebook, and I'm Rassel Ross on Instagram, which is a good one. You can look out for that. That's all I got. Thank you everybody who watched and enjoyed the fight.